I'm walking on the very grounds that Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau actually walked on in their lifetime. And one of the most important things that Emerson said to all of us is that the whole course of things is to teach us faith. And teaching us faith isn't really about teaching us religion as much as it's teaching us faith in ourselves. A belief that we are connected to something that is greater and grander than all of us, and that which we are connected to is divine, that we are all divine beings, and that each and every one of us ought to really consider very strongly treating ourselves that way at all times in our lives, recognizing the importance of our own thoughts, reminding ourselves that what we think about is what expands into our lives, and that our thoughts are the most powerful force that we have. They're our connection to eternity, so that each and every one of us should be remembering what Emerson and Thoreau and Louisa May Alcott and so many of those people who lived right here wrote about and talked about and encouraged us to form a transcendent view of ourselves and of our world. One of my very favorite words that was invented by a man who was a great teacher of mine. His name was Carl Jung. He called it synchronicity. And it's a term that reflects sort of a place where you can get to in your life where you can have a collaboration with fate almost, where you can begin to see things showing up into your life just because you were thinking them. And for some of us who are very practical minded, we think, well, that's absolutely impossible. All of these things are just coincidences. But the word coincidence is an interesting word. In mathematics, coincidence refers to angles that coincide. And in mathematics, two angles that coincide are said to be two angles that fit together perfectly. And we have taken a term that means things that fit together perfectly and assume that somehow it's all done accidentally. But in a universe in which there is an intelligence guiding everything, there are no accidents. And this idea that you have a thought, perhaps it's a thought about a sister that you haven't talked to in 5 years and she lives on the other side of the country and you can't get her out of your mind. And that thought represents an energy. And that energy says, gee, I'd really like to talk to my sister, but I haven't talked to her in a long time. And all of a sudden the telephone rings and there's a feeling in here. And that feeling says, gee, I bet you that's my sister. And you pick it up, and sure enough, that's her. That's her calling you. And everybody that's out there has these kinds of experiences. You have a thought about something. I can remember one time having a thought about getting my screen doors fixed. And I had been given a hard time at home about get your screen doors fixed. And I just hate fixing screen doors. And I was driving down the freeway, and I looked to my left, and passing me was a truck that said, we will fix your screen doors. And I thought, this is synchronicity in work. And I followed that truck, and I got his number, and I called him, and I had the screen doors fixed before I even got home that evening through a telephone call. And we often think these kinds of things that we call synchronicity, or we call sort of a serendipity or collaboration with fate, that they're accidental. But there's no accidents in this universe. Every thought that you have is a thought that is an energy. And that energy, when it is sent out, connects to something else. And everything in this universe is connected. Every tree that you see in this scene right here, every single bug that's out there, all of the thoughts that you have, all of the human beings. There's a philosophy that says that a butterfly flows his wings in New York, that it affects the winds in Tokyo, all around the world. So that's synchronicity.